this, do not give up on your legal status. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. Here, how y'all doing today? Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe prevent that problem from happening in the first place, folks. What's going on? Happy Monday. Here to answer any of your questions to the best of my ability. And then, of course, I want to talk about the topic of the day. It's trying to go sync up with Instagram, and that's causing me some issues right now. So the topic is actually about the visa bulletin. Some of y'all are not familiar with that, but you might need to be. So for example, if you are, number one, if you are living abroad or you have a family member living abroad, you need to know about the visa bulletin, because one of the consequences of not knowing your priority date and the steps involved with this is having your case of not denied, but revoked, essentially your petition, because you didn't pursue taking upon the steps of what we call the immigrant visa. Okay. And it's difficult to reinstate that process. Okay. So, folks, you want to join in. Some of y'all already are familiar with the visa bulletin. You understand the priority date, waiting for it to show up. And you're wondering more so, like, what the hell is going on with it? Retrogression or no retrogression. So let's go through it. Okay, just trying to move some tabs over on Facebook and YouTube. At least I can share my screen. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so right now, actually, the title on YouTube and Facebook shows March 2024 visa bulletin. I was going to talk about this a couple weeks ago, and of course by this time the April bulletin already showed up. So even though it's still March 18th, in the middle of March, it has a new bulletin out, and that's April 2024. But let's just take a quick look. Let me give you a little bit of an idea what to watch out for. Usually towards the end of the fiscal year, so like July, August, and September, that's when there's retrogression for the employment-based cases, and sometimes for family-based. Let me just scroll down here for those folks on YouTube and Facebook. You can see here the family-sponsored preferences, essentially relationship. And then you know, if you're wondering like, well, how come does my spouse can get the visa or green card much faster than like my sibling that you sponsored for? And to give you an idea, F4 is sponsoring your sibling as a U.S. citizen, but it's much different than sponsoring your spouse who, while you're a U.S. citizen. Okay. Now, to give you an idea, all these dates right here in the middle. I'm sorry for folks on TikTok, but if you're on TikTok and want to see what I'm talking about, go ahead and get on your computer as well and type in greencardguys.tv, and there should be a link to my YouTube channel. If not, let me know. But anyway, for people who are not from China, India, Mexico, or Philippines, they're working on cases with a prior date, working on meaning to schedule for interview for those folks that have prior date in June 2007. That's a hell of a long time. But if you're wondering, well, what about my spouse and I'm a U.S. citizen? That you don't have to rely on the visa bulletin, fortunately. Oh, thank God. Okay. So, and also, if you're in the United States and you have what we call immediate relative, for example, like a spouse, and the sponsor is a citizen. Now, the sponsor is a resident, then it's not that quick. You're going to rely on the visa bulletin, F2A. Okay. But let's take an example here where F2A last month's bulletin, March 2024, even though we're technically in March still, it shows F2A June 2020. Okay, so let's go back one. An April bulletin that just published. Okay, June 2020 for the March bulletin. And look, F2A for the April bulletin shows it moved from March to September 2020. So that jumped what, like, if math is correct, like 5 to 6 months. That's pretty good. That's good. So that's people like, if for example, people have been waiting like from April 2020 to September 2020, they're included. So I'm not saying that your visa interview is going to get scheduled tomorrow, right? As soon as this bulletin showed up, but you're on track, okay, in that sense. So let's say in the other situation, and I'm telling you all the bad news here, folks, on why you need to follow this bulletin. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying you gotta check every day, but if if your date is coming up close, like it's the same year, let's say, this one says 2020 for F2A, and you have a prior date in 2020, you would definitely want to check like every month. But if yours is like good example, like F4, brother or sibling, or brother or sister or sibling, then if you just filed it last month for your sibling, then that's probably a bull prior date of February 2020. Okay. So you're waiting, I mean 2024. So you're waiting probably hypothetically 17 years. So if that situation, probably you want to check one time per year, give or take. Um, you don't want to freak out and have to check every month when it's so many years away. And if I can guarantee, lawyers don't like to guarantee anything, but if I can guarantee you something, they're hella slow. So don't expect the prior date of 2024 to be jumped all the way to 2007 within a couple years. Likely not, but you should still check every year at the minimum. Okay. So there's so much more I can go into, but you know what? Let me go ahead and share one more thing as an example. So we're on the April 2024 bulletin, and let's go to employment based because I know a lot of people have questions about employment based, especially people from China, India. But just curious, some. Well, let me scroll all the way back down. Here's the employment based categories here for those folks on Facebook and YouTube. You can see that, but one of the more common ones is the EB2 and EB3. So you can see here India for EB2 and EB3, they're working on cases in 2012. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. So keep in mind, this is separate. This information from Department of State is separate from the steps involved before, like the petition, the prevailing wage, the recruitment, recruitment cooling off period, and labor certification. Those are all before the visa bulletin. Okay. Um, but let's take an example of all the other countries. All right. EB3, November 2022. Okay. This final action chart, November 2022. I'm trying to memorize this. November 2022. Okay. So let's scroll all the way down for the prior month. The prior month on the final action. So trying to go apples to apples here. What did I say? Let me go back. So this one, March EB3 shows September 2022 for all the other countries. September 2022. Okay. September 2022. So this one moved up about 2 months. Okay. The current bulletin, April, shows November 2022. So it moved up about 1 to 2 months. So that's pretty decent. That's not bad. Okay. So there is a bit of movement. All right. So that's all I had to share about that. I know for some people that's not relevant to you. So thank you so much for being patient. But this is still very important for most of y'all. Um, Now, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you don't have to worry about visa bulletin. Now, thank you so much for your questions. Let me go to the top. Effie, nice to see you back on TikTok. Thanks for joining. You said you were able to submit your paperwork or you're about to tomorrow for AOS. What is the best way of packet prep? I mean, there's a bunch, right? I mean, number one, scan everything that you're about to send. Scan it. Do not hole punch anything. Like lawyers in the past, we would hole punch the top. That was the old school way, but you don't have to do that anymore. In fact, they actually sent a memo last year saying don't hole punch, don't staple. I mean, if anything, maybe rubber band it because if you're like a lawyer, like you want to be organized, you don't want things to be lost, then we tend to rubber band things. But let's see, you don't have to. Now, mailing wise, you definitely need to use either any company, whether it's USPS, FedEx, UPS. When you use a courier service like that, in terms of UPS, not just like snail mail, with tracking like Express or Priority Express, whatever they call it these days, overnight or 2-day delivery, 2 to 5 day, I guess they call it, you need to have a tracking number. So anytime you have like a tracking number involved, there's a different address to send it to um, on the website, uscis.gov. So keep that in mind. All right. Because if you don't want to send it to the wrong address, and that'd be bad. I mean, you'll likely get it rejected and mailed back to you, but you don't want to waste time on that. All right. Then if you want to pay by credit card, you can use the form G1450. Okay. No, you have to, Effie, I'm so glad you mentioned this because I thought you already filed it. But anyone else that's looking to file your case, get your shit together and mail it the week before April 1st. Okay. Because you don't want to mail it March 31st and then you're thinking, oh, the government's gonna set your case based on the current filing fee, not the new one that's coming out, not coming out, but starting April 1st. You don't want to mess around with that. Okay. If you have a budget that you're concerned about, you need to prepare everything to mail out the week before April 1st. Okay. Don't wait around on that. Hopefully that helps you out, Effie. Okay, Huma or Juma, how much time does it take to get the green card after they ask for marriage evidence? Well, there's a couple steps involved, right? So it sounds like when you ask that, or you mentioned ask for marriage evidence, are you talking about the RFE? Because you need to first mail in the updated marriage evidence or whatever they ask for. Uh, and then the second thing, they need to review it, right? So there's no black and white time to say like, oh, 2 months. Well, first of all, you got to mail it in, right? The updated evidence, and then, but even that could take a couple months. I don't know why, but fortunately, I do know why. We have a proven process to get things done for our clients, and maybe they just appreciate how organized we are. But fortunately, the USCIS reviews it within a week, gives us a decision within a month. Okay, when we have RFE. But for other folks, especially when they don't have a lawyer, it could be a little differently. Like I don't think they have a black and white rule that says, "Oh, this case didn't have a lawyer, so it's gonna be like default wait 3 months." No, I don't think it's that. I think it's more about like, do you have everything or not, essentially that they asked for. And sometimes even if the USCIS provides us a list of things they're asking for, like when a client hires us to help with the response, because with their own clients, it's very rare to get our fee for a family based. It's more common for employment based type of case than a family based for our own experience. But when a client person hires us to do it, then we do get a pretty good response back, or more timely. I mean, not pretty good. It's more timely. And the other thing is that um, in terms of the list, is that just because the USC has asked for like let's say three things, which is usually not just three things, it's usually a lot more. But we think outside the box, okay? Because when clients don't have A, B, C on that list, we have to think outside the box. Like what could be essentially comparable to whatever USA is asking for, then we'll submit that instead. Okay. So I know I can imagine that could be difficult in your situation if you never filed a case before, you don't do this every day, unlike us, our team. By the way, does the website show up clearly? I think on TikTok it's backwards for some reason. If anyone knows how to flip it on TikTok, let me know. Um, but on Facebook, it seems a bit bright. Okay, Raj, you ask, do I think they're going to move the date of filing in summer to generate demand for next year EB2? Um, I don't know if they intend to generate demand, but yeah, they need to get their shit together to. It's interesting that they don't seem to have it on point. Let me verify which chart I'm looking at. Okay, I'm looking at April 2024, so the most updated. And Raj, you asked for data filing, so it sounds like you're in the US. EB2, yeah, they're working on May 2012. Oh, yours is you're March 2023. Yeah, you got quite a while. I mean, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned India, but I don't actually know which country you're a national of. Um, my apologies. But I don't, yeah, I don't know what they do internally to generate demand or whatnot, but so I can't speculate on that. And I don't really know what you mean by generate demand because you would think people are going to take it up, right? They're going to utilize the visa if it's once it's available. So I truly believe it's like they try not to advance it like a new, let's say like India shows May 2012. They're not going to move it to like eight June 2012 unless those visas are like taken up essentially. So yeah, interesting. I don't know how they try to calculate it, but it's quite interesting. But let me get to some other questions. Sorry, I can't likely not able to answer your question. Makan, what does it mean when ICE agreed to join motion to reopen and dismiss, but said that this is the decision? She does not agree to waive any regulatory or statutory bars other than applicability. So, what do you mean she? She as the attorney for Department of Homeland Security? That could be like, for example, I'm just thinking here, like if you applied for asylum, but maybe it was slightly late. So like it's after the 1 year rule, after entry, or when you change status, whatnot. Um, that it's that like you if there's an argument that you didn't file timely, then your attorney can argue that at the interview or in court, right? So that could be what the not U.S. attorney, the Department of Homeland Security attorney is talking about. Like they're not like saying, "Hey, we're going to dismiss your case," so that means you qualify under asylum technically. No, so I think that I mean that's just one example. I don't know your situation, Makan, but in general, that's a good thing to get it dismissed, right? Um, and even yeah, and even a government attorney doesn't have that authority anyway. That's really up to the interviewing officer or the judge to waive any regulatory or statutory bars, which it wouldn't make sense for them to do that if they're dismissing your case so that USCIS could, what we call adjudicate your case to process to a decision. So I think without knowing the context of your situation, Makan, that's reasonable of what they added in. Okay. Alrighty here. Hey, congrats on your passing your test. It's me, Carpax. Congratulations to you. Hopefully, you get your update very soon. Kimmy, you're asking why would you get a second social security card? Because maybe you had one before, just making up, but maybe you had OPT before, you had social number then, and on one of your forms, like the 765, there is a question like, would you like a social security number, card issued to you? So if you had one already, then I would have checked no, but maybe that form had checked yes. Um, oops. So you may want to go to the SSA office to just let them know, because it kind of I'm inferring that you got a different number, so that would not be good. I don't think that's a problem, like fraud or anything, but you want to go to that office SSA and let them know so you get only one. Because if for some reason the government's trying to argue there is fraud, then at least you took a step to get it rectified. Alrighty. Jessica on TikTok asks, your husband has children in his home country. Does their mom have to approve you to file for them? That's interesting. I haven't had that question. Well, if this is like America, I mean, I'm familiar with what divorce decrees look like in Texas, since we do have a physical office in Texas, by the way, in Houston, Texas. Um, yeah, that would be something like if it was similar language that as in Texas, then you would have to get permission from the mother of the children. Okay, and if they do get permission, get that on paper, get an email, something like that. because you don't want that country's version of the FBI coming after and trying to find the kiddos. And it could have been all prevented, you know? Hopefully that helps out. But I don't know what your husband's agreement is or child custody, whatnot, prior divorce record paperwork shows in that country. All righty. Hey, Drip Too Hard. Thanks for coming back and telling us the good news. Your 45 was approved 6 days ago. Now, how long does it take to get your car? Well, I know you're excited about that. Usually, it's between usually a week and 3 weeks. Okay, but there are a few people, a low number of people who are still waiting for it several months after. But I think it seems like the whatever internal process USC has had, I think it's been corrected in that sense because I haven't had any issues since. We only now have one client that's still waiting. I think it's been like more than 6 months, and we submitted inquiries, all that, and it's not really a situation to sue the government. So that one's a ridiculous situation. But and I've heard that from other people as well on social media. But yours should be 1 to 3 weeks to get your card. Congrats to you. Hi, Miss Martin. Thanks so much for the team bracelet. I didn't even know that existed. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see if you had a question here. There you go. Let me pin your comment. Shania, sorry for mispronouncing your name. You're asking if we accept asylum cases. We want to, but we don't currently because we just don't have the capacity. And that takes a different it takes a lot more research. So a lot more time that we just don't have the time to dedicate, to be honest. I really do appreciate that. What we do have for you is a referral list of a trusted network of attorneys who, for the most part, at least one of them only handle asylum. So if you're interested in that, please DM us your name and email, and we'll send you that short list. Okay. And they can help you regardless of where their office is at. They can help you no matter where you are at. Okay. And of course, you have to be in the US seeking asylum. Just mention that because some people ask if they can apply for asylum when they're not in the US yet. So just want to clarify that. Okay, LOOC on TikTok. Your I-130 got approved and has been sent to the Department of State. What is your timeline? So the next thing, let's say that happened like last week, then usually about 1 to 3 weeks is when the National Visa Center will send you what we would call like a welcome email with the invoice ID number, a new case number. So if you're wondering, well, what the heck is this? It's normal to get a new case number. The first three characters are alpha characters related to your consulate or embassy. And again, they'll give you an invoice number as well. That's basically like your login info into the ceac.state.gov portal. And that's where you need to upload certain documents. Okay. Hopefully it helps you out. Queen A, should you have a lawyer present for your citizenship application? Now, I don't know your history, right? But for I think a good amount of people, you don't necessarily need a lawyer there. However, some of y'all got some sketchy past, okay? A little bit sketchy. And in a document, and you likely know who you are. So we in those situations, we highly recommend. It's not just about like, oh, I don't have any crimes. There still could be a sketchy past. And a sketchy past doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you did something wrong, but just based on paperwork, at least that's what we're trying to present to the officers. Like, my client didn't do anything wrong, but we want to be ready to explain it, right? And of course, a lot of y'all speak really good English, so even that's not really the consideration whether hire a lawyer or not. But if anything, more based on your personality. Like, if you tend to get a bit nervous and you're not like, able to explain yourself, articulate clearly on the situation to a government officer, that is completely understandable. That is what we do every day, right? This is what we practice with our own team on what could happen, not necessarily whatever happens all the time. And some people like after the interview, like, Well, that was smooth sailing. Did I really need you after all? Yes, because we were there. We basically nipped everything in the butt. Type, um, so the officer doesn't act a fool. Some now keep in mind, just because we're there present with you doesn't mean we can stop all USCIS officers from acting a fool. But that's the first time I said it like that. But it's true because I read some stories where some attorneys are half filed a lawsuit against USCIS because of the way an officer acted and really did not give the time of day for an attorney to advocate for their client. That's a situation we have to push back and fight back. So it's not always smooth sailing for every attorney. It depends on the personality of the officer. So I mean, yeah, I mean, in general, of course, as an attorney, I do recommend having a lawyer present. But if you believe you have a clean case, no, like no sketchy past, you're eligible for it. But I don't know why we do. Of course, I mean, we're the immigration problem solvers. We do get most of our calls are folks who got something in the past. And when I mean sketchy, it could be what you check mark or did not check mark on your prior applications. It's not so much what you wrote in, it's whether you check mark something or did not check mark something. And also your divorce paperwork. Some people try to claim like it was fake, or not some people, the government. So just having when you have a team like ours, we have a pretty good idea what they're looking for. Unless there's something new that's trending that we are not, of course, provide that information until it happens. Let's see here. For Masood Khan on YouTube, your case is IR5, Islamabad DQ5. I'm sorry, DQ'd in September 2022. Um, and you're wondering, it sounds like you're wondering what to do. Okay. Still waiting for an interview. Any time frame? So this is now March 2024. You're This is immediate relative classification, right? So you don't have to wait on anything on a priority date, and your DQ date is September 22. So you've been waiting for the interview since September 2022. I would consider talking with my team to asking more questions about mandamus lawsuit. Okay. And yes, in general, sure, Islamabad, Pakistan tends the cases tend to take longer for interview schedule, but this has now been a year and 6 months, seems like, since the DQ date. So that's definitely a long time. We definitely don't want to wait around. All right. Um, Masood Khan, get in touch with our team. Phone number's right up here if you need it on YouTube. All righty. Let's see here. Effie, how many G1145? So the electronic notification should you submit? Um, one per person, like one for the beneficiary and one for the sponsor. Okay. And they'll either text you or email you like a bunch of numbers. That's basically most likely your receipt number, but it doesn't tell your name. So you might think it's like cryptic or something, but that's truly coming from USCIS. It's legit. Alicia Forever. Is the visa interview abroad for IR1 visa more than 1 day? Well, I'm going to answer in two different ways because I don't have all the facts of your situation. Uh, but the interview itself is like 5 to 15 minutes on average. It's definitely not a long day affair. And if they do call you back for the next day, it could be because they're asking for certain documentation, but usually they don't call you back the next day. It's usually, hey, email in ABC document. So hopefully that answers your question. See Kindle on TikTok. Can you expedite your combo card? It's possible, but it's Just like anything with USCIS, it has to be some very specific reasoning. So maybe a job loss could help. You can mention that. It is difficult to get through the USCIS hotline, but you can try to mention InfoPass as the magic phrase, okay? Because it truly is frustrating to get through the automated bot. Okay, on TikTok, one more TikTok, I'll switch over to YouTube. You got yours, P Wenba. You got yours you got what? You got something 2 months after sending RFE. Okay, I guess your green card. Congrats to you. Um, if that's what you're talking about. 2 months. Thanks for sharing your experience. I really appreciate that. For TPS holders, so it's Tamara's question. Uh, for TPS holder, is it only marriage based that can help with green card? Um, you can have other pathways, right? For like employment based. However, the key thing about TPS is being able to apply for advanced parole. Like if the goal is to obtain residency in America, it's you have to get advanced parole. Okay, if you didn't have legal entry before, and you actually after the AP advanced parole is approved, aka travel document, you actually have to travel on it. Okay, you can't just provide proof that it was approved and that's it. You have to actually travel on it. You got to get a stamp, okay, essentially in your passport, and then you could provide that as a copy to your attorney or for yourself to provide that to USCIS as legal entry. Now, I can see why you may have asked this about trying to make this a long explanation to a short one. It really is through best through marriage because marriage based is cleaner in the sense that you don't have to prove that you maintained your status with a non-immigrant visa. Because if you have TPS, you don't have non-immigrant visa, um, unless you're able to somehow apply for H-1B and only have 180 days or less without status. So if you've you go through like employment based, they could argue, and you file a 485, USCIS will likely send an RFE saying you failed to maintain status, it appears. So, what proof do you have to show you maintain status? And you're likely going to provide your TPS paperwork. And at the time, this time, March 2024, as far as I know, TPS is not considered lawful status to cure your failure to maintain status. I hope I'm wrong soon. I don't know if there's a case currently litigation going on right now, but I really hope so because that would save a lot of headache. Because I know there's a lot of people don't want to get married and prefer just get status with the company. And but yeah, that's the thing. Only immediate relative through family currently waives the unlawful presence. Okay, trying to make a long explanation a short one. All right. By the way, this is a good time to ask you if you appreciate the way I share information or go in depth. Sometimes I try to go quickly, but I realize sometimes I need to have a bit more in depth answer. Please give us a follow. Welcome to give us a follow down in your respective platform, above or below, and go ahead and give us a thumbs up or a like or tap on TikTok. Alrighty, let's see. Romar's question. Good day, attorney team. Question right after 237A1H. Removal proceeding granted by judge. What's the next step to do? Congratulations to you. That's not easy, of course. So you need to schedule InfoPass. Okay. So set up your appointment to apply for the residency in terms of like the next step for the production of the resident card. Okay. But if you email us or message in, we'll send you the website. Hey, Paul. Paul asked on YouTube if you're applying for T visa against your boss. Are there any investigation will happen, or they get in trouble? Um, yeah, I mean, I anticipate they would definitely get in trouble. That's for sure. So it could be a situation of a fine, depending the gravity of the situation. Not saying not saying that one person filing a complaint is enough to for it to be the gravity to be really high, but there's a lot more people involved and not just you, or at least maybe at the time there's not that many people that is known for that to happen. But sometimes whatever they're doing to you, unfortunately, for T visa purposes, it's not just smuggling. A lot of people think T visa trafficking visa means like smuggling only. It's also includes people who are not paid their wages, actually. So, so of course you have to have everything documented. But yeah, the intent is that the understanding is that your company that you work for now or in the past will get in trouble. I don't know what kind of trouble, but exactly depends on the scenario. But you got to anticipate that. Okay, so definitely want to talk to a lawyer as soon as possible because there are different specific requirements about if you stop working for them, it's going to be very difficult if, and if anything, maybe not able to apply for T visa. But if you're still working for them while you have the complaint and other steps involved, then of course you can get more proof. But you want to definitely talk to a lawyer before you quit. Okay, hopefully that gives you some insight there. All right, back to TikTok. Thanks so much for your follow and staying on. I should be on for another 10 minutes. Then I got to have a team meeting and get some grub and actually take my own passport picture. Sí, Juan the painter. Hablo español poquito. Mi equipo habla español. Por favor, llama a mi oficina, señor. Uh, Con Khalil, thanks for sharing that you got yours in 1 week. Trying to make sure I didn't skip anyone here. I really try not to. Okay, here we go. Sophia on TikTok. Your 601A has been pending for 3 years now. Is there anything that you can do? You can file a lawsuit, yes, but generally, my trend with my office is that definitely after 3 years, so 36 months, they tend to get approved. But if you're reaching closer to 4 years, then you definitely want to file a lawsuit for sure because um, you don't want to get in a situation where you're waiting and waiting, and you think that you hear from other people like me as well, sharing about our client experience, and you think, oh well, that'd be okay. Like I'll just wait a couple more months. I mean, just because other people get improved in X time doesn't mean that yours is going to get improved in that same similar time frame. So it all depends on your situation. But I mean, even at 3 years, I would file a lawsuit. I definitely would not file after 1 or 2 years. So Mia's kind of a similar situation. You filed yours in 2020, fingerprints done in March 2020. So yours coming up 4 years, if my math is correct. All right, Mia, yours is filed in 2020. So yeah, you may want to consider calling our office and consider a mandamus lawsuit, because again, many of our cases that were filed in 2020 were approved last year, and so the ones that would be in a 3 year mark would be anything um, March 2021 and before that. But yours was sometime in early March or before March 2020. So give us a call. All right, Ocean, if your husband and you have a joint account, but you're the only one who actively uses it, I think your follow comment was like, is that okay? Basically. I don't, I mean, I don't know if USCIS can tell directly who actually swipes it or uses it, inserts the card. I don't think it says that, right? I mean, I could be wrong. If it does, then you might want to reconsider. But this is an example when our legal team would get involved. But I don't. I mean, if you're actively using it, as you mentioned, then I think it's fine. But yeah, we would take a look at your bank statements just in case. But if you're actively using it and you're only using it like 5 times, that might not be enough, right? Especially, you want to use it for your primary, at least while you're going through this process. Look, I totally get it, folks. You and your spouse, your partner, your significant other may have a certain process. Like, okay, he or she is going to handle ABC bills, and I'll handle DEF bills. Like, I get that. I do that same thing in a household, but if I'm going through immigration case, I would recommend having it on one credit card or a checking account. So it's just easier documentation wise to see it all come out of most of it come out of one account. Practically speaking, can you have it all in one account? Probably not. But I mean, get most of it, even if you have the direct deposit to that account. Okay. If you want more advice, you may just need to contact us. Excuse me. All right, Martina Ariano on TikTok. How can you get your waiver expedited? There is no expedite process like the other case types applications, but you depending on how long when you filed your waiver application, 601A or 601 form, you may want to consider filing a lawsuit. Okay. Okay, we receive work permit and SSN card. This is a good sign. GC will come soon. This is from Miss Bode on TikTok. Thanks for coming back. I recognize your name. Um, no, I mean it's a good sign in general, but that doesn't mean your GC will come like next week. That's not how it works because that'd be a waste of time. Like if even USCIS doesn't know, right? Like if USCIS was going to say, um, we're going to issue a green card like next week, then they would have no reason to waste their time to issue a work permit because essentially when you get the green card, you don't need the work permit anymore. You only need the green card. So I know it's a bit confusing, but that's what I mean by like some people ask, can I get this or that at the same time? That's not how it works. Like the work permit application is a separate track of processing. The advanced parole document application is a separate track of processing. At least that's the last time they updated us, and that is what it appears to be happening. So, in the application for adjustment of status for residency is also on a separate track. Okay, so hopefully that's as simplistic explanation as it can give you. But yeah, it could be next week. GC, it just again separate track. All right. Ali asked, "Do I think there's any visa bulletin movement in October 2024?" I have no idea. That's so far away. Even if I knew, I could likely be wrong. BB, is it normal if you had citizenship interview and on the day they reschedule, it's been more than 6 months? What do you mean on the day they rescheduled? Did something go wrong? No, I mean, that's not really normal or not normal. That's just more like on their schedule, especially if you live in a city where there's a lot of people apply. I would say that's normal. But yeah, some people ask for rescheduling because of their work schedule. But if it's your work schedule, you really have to figure something out to get there on that day. Because like you were saying, BB on TikTok, you had to wait 6 months, but not everyone has to wait 6 months. Just depends literally on the USCIS schedule at the local office. Thank you so much for your questions. If you're wondering how to get in touch with us, go to greencardguys.com, click on contact us. Okay, this is how you do it on YouTube and Facebook. You can see it here. All right, contact us, scroll down, click on option one, pre-qualify for a strategy session at no cost to you. Alrighty. And then but if you are on TikTok, it's a lot easier actually. If you don't have the time to go to the website, just send us a DM. I know for folks on YouTube can't do that, but send us a DM and follow us, of course, so that we'll be allowed to respond to you. Alrighty. Okay, Mami Fua on TikTok. Hope you're still on. What form do you need if you want your husband to re-enter the United States after 10 years? It's actually if it's been more than 10 years since the I guess you could say immigration in violation or removal order before, you don't have to file the 601, you don't have to file I-212 because 10 years have passed. So that's a great thing. But other folks, if you don't actually have to wait 10 years, I'm sorry if you actually waited 10 years thinking that you had to wait 10 years. Now, if it's a permanent bar situation, then yes, you truly have to wait 10 years. But if it's a removal order, you got removed in the past, and you left on time, you didn't overstay after the removal order, like you left within X time. Maybe you had a voluntary departure, and you were given 120 days of leave, and you left before that time. Then that's great. Okay, but either way, even if you left after that, from the time you're in another country until now, like let's say it's like 2 years, you can actually apply for a waiver, I-601 and also I-212, for permission to re-enter the United States. So those are two different applications. And yes, it's possible to waive the prior violation and enter US before 10 years. But some people don't know that. So I'm so sorry if some of y'all have waited actually 10 years. I mean, even if you applied on day one of your spouse leaving the United States, one of the waivers as of now, 601, on the chart shows 24 months. But 601A, if you're wondering about that, would it take 4 years outside the United States? The 601A is a application for people who are currently in the United States, even though it's taking 4 years. So that is a different situation. Hopefully that clears it up a bit. Let's see here. Oops. Did not mean to click translate. Okay. Happy Gotra. Your green card was stolen. So sorry to hear. Can you apply for citizenship without your green card? Um, hmm. I don't know the rule on that, but you could apply for it. I mean, because it's confusing because some field offices don't care. And unfortunately, there is no map that shows like, oh, this location, the officers require it. I would just go ahead, if you're eligible timing wise, just go ahead and file it. And of course, if you know your A number, things like that, um, because there's nowhere on the N400 application as do you currently have possession of your resident card? So thankfully, no. But hopefully you have a copy because a copy of it is required when you apply for the N400, which I also think is ridiculous, but I guess it's helpful because they just want to make sure your A numbers match up. Okay, where more often than not, it's when your resident card expired, then the officers can get a bit more picky on that. So hopefully that helps out. So sorry that your green card was stolen. So there's a good tip, actually. Thanks so much for mentioning this or bringing it up. Essentially, when you get your resident card, okay, especially if you're on your own, you need to make a scanned copy. Like, just have it ready. And in fact, like you want to save it in multiple places because for our clients, we scan the card front and back because of course we may need it in the future. And we're happy to like share with clients because some clients will like, I lost it. Can I get a copy of it at least with y'all from y'all? Happy to share it. That's one reason why we do that. Okay, I can answer one more question for y'all. Let me maybe on each platform. Then I got to get to the team meeting. True servitude. You saw in the Foreign Affairs Manual, fam, that you need to seek to acquire CSPA. How do you do that if your dad already paid the DS-260 fees and got to get us DQ'd? So you need to email National Visa Center first and provide them all the information, all the dates, prior date. You can tell them why you're still qualified for CSPA, your prior date, your petition date of your dad's, the approval date of that petition, and when you believe the visa bulletin showed up for you, okay, to be current. Um, but yeah, you need to contact National Visa Center ASAP. All right, hopefully that helps. All right, now TikTok. So one more. New guy. Hey, new guy on TikTok. I always feel like I'm new on TikTok. Your friend got tricked and promised a work visa and got lied to. They made him work and abandoned him. So I'm not sure if you mentioned. It doesn't sound like it makes it seem like he didn't get paid either, right? Those kind of facts. So it could be possible for T visa, trafficking visa. Um, have your friend contact us, and we'll go through it with him or her. Alrighty. All right, folks, this is the time I got to hop off. So if you don't mind, this is a time to definitely give us a follow on your respective platforms and holla at your boy. If you have any questions, send us a DM. Don't be shy. I'm not always the one responding. It's usually one of my team members, Maria. But of course, if she definitely knows to get my attention, she'll definitely let me know. All right, y'all have a good one, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, y'all take care, okay? See ya tomorrow.